The VTL also has a daunting array of inputs, but they are not as complex as they might seem. Here are the inputs for the Hurst VTL indicator. The first one is, of course, the name that you have used for the analysis, which you are probably becoming used to by now. If you have multiple different analyses that you're watching for a particular instrument, then you need to tell the VTL indicator which analysis you want the VTLs to be based upon. It is possible to apply the VTL indicator onto a chart that does not have the Hurst analysis tool, so you can see the VTL without all the diamonds and circles and whiskers, as long as you have the Hurst analysis tool running on a chart of that instrument. And of course the analysis tool needs to have the same name that you have specified in this input. The next input specifies whether the VTL lines should be styled automatically. What that means is that the indicator will choose which VTLs to display depending on the time frame that you are viewing and the zoom scale. So for instance, there's no point in looking at a 5-hour cycle VTL on a daily chart. That simply wouldn't make any sense. If you have that value set to true, which I would recommend, then the VTL will automatically adapt to the time frame and the zoom scale that you are viewing. Then you can specify how many VTLs you would like to view when it is auto styling. In other words, it's choosing which VTLs to show. The default is 3 because VTL lines generally don't clutter your chart too much, but you can choose to show only 1 VTL, 2 or 3 of them. Then you have the communication channel, which is for experts only. The only reason why you would change that is if you have another indicator on your MT4 trading platform that is using MT4's channel broadcast method for exchanging information. Then you can turn on the logging of debug messages in case you think that your VTL indicator is not behaving properly, and then you can send us those debug messages so that we can work out what the problem is. Then of course we have the cycle colors, because everything with your Hurst cycles analysis is color coded. Those are the colors that are used when you have turned on auto styling for your VTL indicator. And so if you have changed your colors, you have a particular color palette that you like to use for your Hurst cycles analysis, then you will need to change the colors here on your VTL indicator so that your VTLs are matching the colors that you have chosen for your cycles. Then, similarly to the FLD indicator, we have a series of lines that you can specify if you are not choosing auto styling. In other words, if you want to specifically watch a particular VTL, no matter what your zoom scale is or what your time frame is, then you can specify that VTL to be displayed using these individual line inputs. For each one of these lines, you can specify whether you would like this line to be plotted. Obviously, you would like the VTL indicator to plot at least one line, otherwise it won't really be doing anything on your chart. So the setting for VTL 1 for plot this VTL is set to true. Then you can choose a cycle number. Now this works differently to the way in which the FLD indicator works, because when it comes to VTLs, you will often want to be selecting a particular cycle that you want plotted on your charts. And you can see that the cycle number specifies which cycle the VTL will be displaying. Here you can see that the number 0 will give you the 18-year VTL. Number 1 will give you the 9-year VTL, and so on. Number 2 would give you the 54-month VTL. Number 3 would give you the 18-month VTL. I think you can work it out. If you get lost, you can simply scroll up and take a look at your list of colors, because this is your nominal model displayed right here for you. The 18-year cycle, 9-year, 54-month, 18-month, and so on, all the way down to your third intraday dynamic cycle. By default, you can see that the number 10 has been placed there, but obviously you would want to change that. The number 10 is, of course, the 5-day cycle. If you want to see your 5-day cycle, you would leave that value at 10. If you want to see your 2-day cycle, you would change it to 11. The 1-day cycle would be 12. The first intraday cycle, your 5-hour cycle, the white cycle, would be 13. Then you can specify the color of the FLD line, which is of course usually the cycle color. So depending on which cycle you've chosen the VTL indicator to plot, you would specify the color for those lines here. And then you can plot your trough VTLs, which are the VTLs that join two consecutive troughs. In other words, upward pointing VTLs, or you can specify to plot your peak VTL. By default, the indicator will plot both of them, which means you'll have upward pointing and downward pointing VTLs. Let's assume that you are trading a market and you are waiting for one specific VTL to be crossed by price, and you want that VTL to be displayed on all of your charts. In that case, you would turn off auto styling. You would then choose to plot VTL1. You would set your cycle number, set your color, and if it's an upward pointing VTL that you're looking at, you would set the plot trough VTL to true and the plot peak VTL to false, and vice versa if it is a downward pointing VTL that you are watching closely. That way you can unclutter your charts, and you could be watching only one VTL line for the important moment at which price crosses that VTL. And those are your inputs for the VTL.